When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just breathing, not just moving through the noise, but alive. So present that every second burned with meaning. You can't quite remember, can you? Somewhere between the deadlines, the notifications, and the quiet ache of wanting more, something inside you began to fade. You started living on autopilot, doing what everyone else was doing, hoping one day it would all make sense. But here you are, scrolling through another day, wondering why life feels like it's passing without you in it. You tell yourself you're busy, that you're working towards something important. You've got plans, goals, dreams, but deep down there's this uneasy truth. You don't feel any closer to them. You wake up, you chase, you collapse, and then you do it all again. It's a loop that looks like progress but feels like loss. You keep thinking the next thing will be it, the new job, the new city, the new version of you. But every time you arrive, it still feels empty. Because what you're chasing isn't out there. It's something you've slowly forgotten how to feel. You weren't born to live like this. You weren't born to watch time slip away while convincing yourself that this is what living looks like. There's a part of you that still remembers what it was like before the noise took over. That quiet part that still longs for peace, for meaning, for something real. You feel it sometimes. In small flashes, a laugh that feels honest, a sunset that stops you in your tracks, the rare moment when you forget to check your phone and just exist. Those moments remind you that there's more to life than the routine you've settled into. But they're rare, and they fade too quickly. Maybe you've noticed it, that sense of distance between who you are and who you thought you'd be by now. You used to believe you were meant for something more, but the world convinced you to trade wonder for survival, to stay busy, to keep achieving, to never stop moving long enough to ask why. You've been taught that if you just keep pushing, you'll reach some invisible finish line where everything finally clicks. But the truth is, that finish line doesn't exist. You're running toward a mirage, and the faster you go, the further it gets. It's not your fault. You were raised to believe that life is something to win, that happiness is something you earn, that fulfillment comes after you've done enough, proven enough, become enough. But that belief is what's been quietly draining you. Because every time you chase after the next thing, you confirm the lie that what you have right now isn't already enough. And so you keep running, faster and faster, afraid to stop. Because if you did, you'd have to face the silence underneath it all. You'd have to admit that somewhere along the way you stopped living and started waiting. But what if you didn't have to keep waiting? What if the life you've been chasing has been right here all along, hiding beneath the constant noise of becoming? What if the way out isn't found in doing more, but in finally stopping, long enough to see that everything you've been searching for is already here, in this exact moment? The world told you to keep climbing, but maybe the real peace begins when you stop trying to reach the top and start noticing the ground beneath your feet. Right now, in this breath, you have everything you need to begin again. Not by changing your job or your goals, but by changing the way you see. By realizing that you don't need to wait for your life to start. It already has. The question is, are you willing to wake up to it? Because this is your moment to remember what it feels like to be alive. To feel your own heartbeat and know that this, right here, is where life is happening. Not later, not someday. Now. You've been waiting for permission to start living, but no one is coming to give it to you. No one will knock on your door and tell you that today is the day your life begins. You've been waiting for a sign, a moment, some kind of certainty that it's safe to stop running, but here it is. The truth is, you don't need to earn your right to exist. You already have it. Every breath, every heartbeat is proof that you belong here. And yet you've been living as if your life was something you had to prove, as if you had to justify being here by constantly doing more. That's the trap. Believing that meaning is something you'll reach someday instead of something you create right now. You've been sold the idea that your value depends on your productivity, that your worth is measured by how much you can achieve before you burn out. But that's not living, that's survival with a prettier name. You keep moving because slowing down feels dangerous. Stillness exposes the emptiness you've been trying to outrun. But that emptiness isn't your enemy, it's a doorway. It's the space where you rediscover what actually matters. Because beneath all the noise, all the striving, There's a voice that's been waiting for you to listen. A quiet voice that's been whispering, "This isn't all there is." You can ignore it for a while. You can drown it in distractions, bury it under schedules and deadlines. Convince yourself that you're fine. But it never truly disappears. It waits. It waits for the moment when you're too tired to pretend. When you finally admit that the things you've been chasing don't fill the space inside you. And in that silence, when everything else falls away, that's when you start to see clearly. That's when you realize you were never meant to spend your life just getting by. You were meant to feel, to create, to connect, to be awake to your own existence. The clock is ticking, not to scare you, but to remind you that you don't have forever. Every day you hesitate, every dream you postpone, becomes a piece of your life you'll never get back. The illusion of later is the most dangerous comfort there is, because later turns into never, and one day you wake up realizing that you've been waiting for a life that never arrived. The tragedy isn't that time moves fast. It's that we keep believing we have more of it. The world will tell you there's always tomorrow, but deep down you know that's not true. You can feel it, the pull in your chest, the quiet urgency that says now. You can keep living the same story, or you can choose to write a new one. The moment you decide to stop waiting, everything shifts. You don't need a grand plan. You don't need permission. You just need to begin. To say yes to the small, honest moments that make you feel alive again. The conversation you've been putting off. The dream you've been too afraid to chase. The risk that scares you because it matters. That's where life begins, at the edge of fear, in the space between who you were and who you could become. You've been told to play it safe, to follow the rules, to stay within the lines. But safety is just another name for slow death when it keeps you from living. The truth is, you will lose things. You will fail. You will be misunderstood. But that's the price of feeling alive. And it's worth it. Because when you finally stop trying to control everything, you begin to experience life instead of managing it. You begin to see that meaning isn't found in perfection. It's found in presence. So stop waiting for your life to make sense. Stop waiting to be ready. You'll never feel fully prepared. And that's okay. The only thing you need to do is begin, right now, in the middle of your uncertainty, in the chaos, in the mess. Begin with one honest moment, one brave decision, one deep breath. Because this is it. This is your chance to stop existing and start living. Every heartbeat is a reminder that time is moving, but you still have a choice. You can keep drifting through the noise, or you can wake up and take your life back, one breath at a time. You've spent your whole life trying to become someone smarter, stronger, more successful, someone who finally feels enough. But what if the version of you you've been chasing doesn't even exist? What if all this time you've been trying to catch a shadow, a projection of what the world told you you should be? You've been molded by expectations that were never yours. The school told you to be practical. The world told you to be productive. Society told you to be perfect. And without realizing it, you started building a cage out of those words. Every dream you buried, every fear you ignored, every quiet truth you silenced just to fit in. You called it being responsible. You called it growing up. But what it really was forgetting who you are. You don't have to keep carrying that version of yourself. You don't have to keep living for approval, chasing validation from people who are just as lost as you are. You've been told that fulfillment comes from achieving, but real peace doesn't come from what you get. It comes from what you let go of. You can't move forward while dragging the weight of who you think you should be. You have to release it. You have to stop performing and start living. Because life isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be real. You already know what you want. You've always known. You feel it when you're quiet enough to listen. That pull in your chest, that restlessness you can't explain, it's not anxiety, it's resistance. It's your soul fighting against a life that doesn't fit anymore. And every time you ignore it, every time you tell yourself to be patient, to stay safe, to follow the plan, you lose another piece of yourself. You start to believe that numbness is normal, that living halfway is just how it is. But deep down you know it's not. You were meant to burn brighter than this. The life you want isn't somewhere far away. It's just on the other side of your fear. That's the wall that keeps you trapped. Fear of failing. Fear of being judged. Fear of changing. But here's the truth. Fear is just proof that something matters. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't feel it. And the only way to move past fear is through it. Not by waiting until it disappears, but by walking with it. One step, one choice, one heartbeat at a time. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding that something else is more important. Every person you've ever admired was terrified before they began. The difference is, they didn't let fear stop them. They chose to start while they were scared. They chose to live before they were ready. And that's what you have to do now. Because there will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a time when you have all the answers. The right time is the moment you stop hesitating and start breathing deeply enough to feel alive again. Look at your life right now. The days, the routines, the quiet compromises that have become your comfort zone. Ask yourself, is this what you wanted? Or is this what you settled for? You already know the answer. You can feel it, the weight in your chest, the heaviness behind your smile. It's not exhaustion. It's resistance to a life that's too small for you. And the longer you stay there, the more it eats at you. The truth is, you're not stuck because you can't move. You're stuck because you keep waiting for someone else to give you permission to. You don't need permission. You need honesty. You need to look yourself in the mirror and admit that you're done wasting time pretending to be fine. You're done dimming your light to make others comfortable. You're done chasing things that don't matter. Because you have one life. One. And the clock is ticking whether you're ready or not. Every moment you spend waiting for the right time is a moment you'll never get back. The fear you feel right now is temporary. The regret of not trying lasts forever. So this is it. This is your moment to step out of the noise and reclaim what's yours. Your passion, your purpose, your power. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to remember who you are underneath everything they told you to be. This isn't about changing the world. It's about changing the way you see it. Because the moment you stop running, the moment you face yourself without fear or excuses, that's when life finally begins. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now. Every day you wake up closer to the end, and yet you act as if you have forever. You scroll, you wait. You fill the silence with noise, because the quiet makes you remember how little time you have. The truth is, you don't have years to waste trying to become the person you think you should be. You have this moment, this breath, this fleeting chance to choose something different. You keep imagining that someday it'll all make sense, that you'll find the perfect balance, the perfect peace. But life isn't waiting for you to figure it out. It's happening right now, with or without your permission. And every second you hesitate is a second that disappears forever. You say you want change, but you're afraid of what change demands. You want freedom, but you cling to your comfort. You want truth, but you keep hiding behind the noise. It's not because you're weak. It's because you've been conditioned to believe that safety matters more than meaning. But safety is a slow death when it costs you your soul. You can't keep numbing yourself with distractions and calling it living. You can't keep pretending you're okay when you're not. You know something inside you is dying every time you ignore what you really want. Every time you silence that voice that says, this isn't it. You were not born to live half a life. You were not born to survive your own existence. You were born to feel everything, to laugh until it hurts, to cry until you heal, to stand in awe of how fragile and powerful you really are. But you've built walls around yourself, thinking they'd protect you from pain. What they've really done is block you from joy. You can't numb one without numbing the other. And the longer you hide behind those walls, the smaller your world becomes. You think you're protecting yourself, but what you're really protecting is your fear. Look around. Most people are asleep. They walk through life like ghosts, haunted by the versions of themselves they never had the courage to become. They talk about what they'll do someday, but someday never comes. They tell themselves they're waiting for the right time, but deep down they know that time is gone. The right moment doesn't exist. Only this one does. And every person who ever changed their life started right here, at the edge of fear, staring down the same uncertainty you're facing now. So ask yourself, what are you really waiting for? Permission? A guarantee? There won't be one. Life doesn't hand out safety nets. It hands you chances, disguised as chaos, disguised as endings, disguised as fear. And those who wake up, those who see through the illusion, realize that fear isn't a signal to stop. It's the doorway you walk through to find yourself. You've been standing at that doorway your entire life. How much longer will you keep waiting to open it? You keep thinking you need to have it all figured out before you start, but that's the lie that keeps you trapped. You don't need clarity to begin. You need courage. Clarity comes after you move. It comes when you take the first step into the unknown and discover you're still standing. You'll fall, you'll fail, but failure isn't the end. It's the beginning of something real. It's proof that you were brave enough to try, because the opposite of failure isn't success. It's apathy. It's staying still while life passes you by. There's something inside you that refuses to die, no matter how much you've ignored it. It's the part of you that knows you're meant for more. It's the part that still believes, even after everything. Listen to it. Feed it. Let it grow louder than your fear. Because if you don't, one day, you'll look back and realize that the version of you who could have changed everything was waiting right there, just beyond your excuses. And that realization will hurt more than any failure ever could. This is your moment to wake up, to stop pretending you have time, to stop living small because the world taught you to. You are not meant to blend in with the noise. You are meant to break through it. To live so fully that every breath feels like defiance. To stop waiting for your life to begin and realize it already has. The only question left is whether you're finally ready to live it. You don't need a miracle. You don't need a plan. You need to remember that you are alive right now. And that is enough to begin. The universe isn't waiting for you to prove yourself. It's waiting for you to wake up. Every moment you hesitate, you trade another piece of your soul for comfort. You tell yourself it's temporary, that you'll take the risk later, that you'll follow your heart when things calm down. But life never calms down. The storm doesn't pass so you can begin. It's there to test if you're willing to begin anyway. You keep saying you want freedom, but freedom isn't given. It's taken. It's claimed in the moments you refuse to settle. It's born in the decisions that terrify you. The choice to walk away from what's killing your spirit. The choice to stop pretending you're fine when you're not. The choice to start even when you're not ready. Every time you choose truth over comfort, something inside you expands. You feel it, don't you? That pulse, that spark that reminds you what it means to be alive. That's not fear. That's your soul remembering its power. You've been living for approval so long that you've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. You've bent yourself into shapes to fit a world that never asked who you really are. But here's the truth. They don't get to define you. The world doesn't get to decide what your life should look like. You do. You get to decide what matters, what's worth your time, what's worth your heart. You get to decide when enough is enough. And maybe that moment is now. Maybe this is the moment you stop waiting for the perfect time and start creating the life you were meant to live. Every great change begins in defiance, in that quiet rebellion against what no longer feels right. You were not made to simply exist. You were made to feel the weight and wonder of being human, to love deeply, to fail gloriously, to rise again and again until you remember that you were never broken to begin with. The cracks in you are not flaws. They are openings. They are proof that you were brave enough to live. Every scar on your heart is a doorway back to your truth. Stop hiding them. They are your map home. Been taught that life is about control, about mastering every detail. But control is an illusion. The tighter you grip, the more life slips through your fingers. Real freedom begins. You stop trying to control and start learning to trust. To trust that you can face whatever comes. To trust that, even when things fall apart, you will not. Because beneath all the noise, beneath the doubt and the fear, there's a strength that has never left you. It's been waiting for you to remember it. You already know what you need to do. The voice inside you isn't confused. It's scared, and fear is just a sign that you're standing at the edge of growth. You can step back into the familiar, or you can leap into the unknown and find yourself. You can keep dreaming about the life you want, or you can take one small trembling step toward it right now. Not someday, not when it's easy. Now, because this moment is all you ever have. And if you can find the courage to live it fully, to give yourself completely to it, you'll realize that nothing else was ever missing. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every detour, it all brought you here, to this exact point, to this breath, to this choice. And this choice will define you far more than anything you've done before. You can keep running from yourself, or you can turn around and face your life head on. You can keep waiting for the right conditions, or you can understand that you are the condition. You are the moment. You are the fire that refuses to go out. So stop shrinking to fit a world that has forgotten how to live. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop believing that your dreams are too much. The truth is, the world doesn't need you to be realistic. It needs you to be alive. It needs you to burn so brightly that others remember their own light. You are not here to simply pass time. You are here to awaken, to rise, to live so completely that even time itself has to stop and watch. This is your life. And it begins the moment you decide to take it back.